Hello everyone, welcome to the journey to discover one of the arduous but valuable professions, catching and processing red shrimp on an industrial scale on modern ships in the cold waters of Alaska. In today's video, we will follow the brave American fishermen, who have spent their lives on the ocean, to better understand how they catch, handle and process hundreds of tons of red shrimp every day, from when they are still swimming on the deep sea floor to when they are packaged on modern conveyor belts in factories. Ready to be exported to all over the world. Before dawn, in the bitter cold of the North Sea, large red shrimp fishing boats begin to leave port. Equipped with modern technology, each boat is dozens of meters long, carrying dozens of skilled sailors, each of whom clearly understands their work and duties. The main fishing gear used is large bottom trawl systems, a type of specialized net used to collect red shrimp from deep sea areas. Where they live in schools of millions. The job seems simple, but each trip is a battle with nature, with wind and waves, with the biting cold and the enormous pressure from the required output. After many hours of moving out to sea, when the signal from the radar system shows that the shrimp are moving on the seabed, the captain orders the net to be dropped. The giant mechanical arms start working, pulling the nets hundreds of meters long, which are lowered, sweeping along the seabed. Modern positioning technology helps to accurately determine the coordinates and speed of the shrimp. Helping to optimize the harvesting efficiency. When the net is pulled up, hundreds of tons of fresh red shrimp, wriggling in the early morning sunlight, fall into the ship's hold. The sailors' joyful cheers resound in the rumbling sound of the engine, signaling a bumper catch. As soon as the shrimp are loaded onto the ship, the processing begins immediately to ensure freshness. A conveyor belt system runs along the deck, taking the shrimp through the sorting stages. The large, healthy, brightly colored ones are prioritized for high-end processing, while the rest are sent back to the factory for further processing. Each stage is carried out by modern machinery, but still requires the dexterity and experience of the sailors. In the freezing cold and the constant shaking of the ship, they still work hard, their hands quickly cutting, washing, and sorting each shrimp as if they had been doing this all their lives. When the hold is full of red shrimp, the ship immediately returns to port. The voyage can last several days, even weeks, but thanks to the ship's cold storage system, all the harvested shrimp remain intact. Once stocked, hundreds of tons of shrimp are immediately transferred to processing plants located near the port. This is where a new journey begins, a journey of technology, of the most modern production line in the seafood industry. At the factory, each container of red shrimp is put on a large conveyor system. Through high-pressure washers to remove impurities and sand. After that, the classification process continues with absolute precision thanks to color and size sensors. The qualified shrimp will be transferred to the fast freezing area, a technology that helps freeze shrimp within a few minutes, preserving the sweetness and crunchiness of the red shrimp meat. In another area, a team of workers works like a synchronized machine, performing the steps of peeling, deheading, or slicing according to orders from all over the world. We cannot see every drop of sweat, every sleepless night in the ocean, or every pair of chapped hands in the cold workshop. But when looking at each shiny red shrimp, we can feel the true value of labor. A small shrimp, but carrying a big story, about the ocean, about people, and about sustainable development. The journey from the ocean to the dining table is a magnificent journey. It requires not only modern technology, a perfect logistics system, but also the love of the profession of thousands of people. Every day, ships set sail. Every night, factories turn on the lights, all creating a tightly linked, rhythmic chain, full of discipline and responsibility. Hundreds of tons of red shrimp every day are not simply food. They are the crystallization of labor, of aspiration, and of a profound marine culture. Thank you for joining us on today's journey. If you find the video content meaningful, don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe to the channel to continue following the true stories from the blue ocean. See you in the next episodes, where we will continue to explore the quiet but extremely important industries in the global food supply chain. A special point in the red shrimp processing process here is the harmonious combination of humans and machines. After witnessing the impressive modern process of catching and processing red shrimp, the ship continued its journey out to sea, towards a vast sea where fish are gathering seasonally. Here, a new chapter of fishing begins. No longer bottom traps or deep-sea nets, but giant trawl nets, hundreds of meters long, likened to iron arms reaching out into the ocean to gather migratory fish that are changing seasons. The journey of the fishermen never stops, because for them, each sea area is a new story. Each product of the sea carries a different value. The sun has just risen. The light shines through the cold mist covering the sea surface. It is time for the fleet to prepare for the stage of catching flying fish and herring, two small but nutritious fish species. Often appearing in dense schools in cold seas, they swim with the ocean currents, shift seasonally and become the main target for fishing during long sea trips. Unlike red shrimp that must be hunted in small clusters. Flying fish and herring appear as a moving silver sea, millions of fish glittering in the sunlight, like living silk ribbons floating in the salty water. At this time, the captain of the ship signals the entire fishing team to get into position. The giant hydraulic engines are started, controlling the system of cranes and wheels to lower the trawl net, which is over 800 meters long and nearly as deep as the height of a 10-story building. Into the water. The net is no longer simply a piece of coarse woven fabric like in the old days. Each strand of net is made of super durable synthetic material, capable of withstanding extremely high force and corrosion by sea salt. These nets are not only fishing tools but also products of modern marine technology, designed to minimize unintended loss of organisms, reduce damage to fish and maintain the sustainability of the marine ecosystem. At the same time, on the deck, experienced workers are monitoring the netting operation using a screen system connected to radar and sound waves. Thanks to sonar technology, they can accurately determine the location and density of the fish school on the seabed, thereby adjusting the path and depth of the net to capture the fish most effectively. The image displayed on the screen is like a living map, where each bright dot represents each moving cluster of fish. It feels like the captain is steering a ship not only with his eyes. But also with science, technology and the acumen of decades of experience on the water. In just a few hours, the trawl system has collected a huge amount of fish. When it is pulled up, the water surface is boiling like a reverse rain. Hundreds of tons of herring and flying fish are struggling, reflecting the light like sparkling diamonds. The pungent smell of the sea mixed with the screams and the rumbling sound of the cameras resounded like a chaotic but vibrant symphony of the seafaring profession. The entire ship shook with the weight and life energy pouring into the hold. The fish were sucked up by a high-powered hose system, transferred directly into the fast-freezing chamber at sub-zero temperatures, ensuring that the fish retained their freshness. Each stage took place like a giant, precise and powerful machine. There was no rest, no unnecessary movement, because every minute that passed, thousands of fish could pass through our hands. The cold chambers were continuously filled. Each layer of fish was spread evenly and frozen while the ship was still moving to the next fishing spot. It was the perfect combination of human labor and high technology, of hunting instinct and machine intelligence, creating a living chain in the middle of the ocean. The deep sound of the engine still echoed in the depths of the sea, while the next rolls of nets were being dropped. The trawl net. After the first haul of hundreds of tons of fish is dismantled, cleaned, inspected and prepared to be released again for the next haul, the fishermen on board coordinate with each other in an amazing rhythm. Like artists performing a piece of music without words. No one needs to shout. No one needs to be reminded, because everyone clearly understands their role, grasps every detail in the chain of work, tempered by the wind and waves, by hundreds of previous trips out to sea. Every time the net is pulled up, there are not only flying fish or herring, but sometimes also mackerel, sardines or squid, unexpected gifts from the ocean. The crew members even more excited at that time. Cheers resound across the sky and sea, breaking the cold of the early morning. Some people sing while pulling the net. Some people work and tell jokes, creating a working atmosphere that is both urgent and warm with humanity. At sea, where only the wind and waves are friends. The companionship between people is the most precious thing. The thing that keeps their hearts warm, even though it is cold outside. Each full net brings with it the urgency in the processing compartment. Flying fish, with a long, slender shape, two large fins like bird wings, are classified and transferred to the automatic washing machine. The clean water sprays out strongly, washing away dirt, fish blood, impurities. Leaving only shiny, even fish bodies, looking like silver darts. Herrings are smaller, round, with scales that shine like they are covered with a layer of silver oil. They are put through a sorting line with a weight sensor, then transferred to the batch freezing stage. Each batch weighs a few hundred kilograms. Packed in boxes according to export standards. Right on the ship. The vacuum packaging and deep freezing system at -40 degrees Celsius is continuously operated.
I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time.
This technology not only helps to preserve the freshness, but also ensures that the fish retains its shape, taste, and highest nutritional content when it reaches consumers in distant markets such as Japan, Korea, the US or Europe. The fish that were just in the ocean just a few hours ago are now packed in boxes, clearly marked with their origin, QR codes for traceability, and prepared to be brought to the port.
Have a place you'll bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you. Oh,
Ready for a further journey to the mainland. Sometimes, during short breaks between fishing trips, everyone sits down on the deck, quickly drinking a cup of hot tea or a few sips of warm coffee to dispel the cold. Everyone's face shows fatigue, but no one complains. These fishermen are used to working day and night, with a non-stop life in the stormy ocean. Each person is a warrior of the sea, resilient, persistent, never giving up even in the face of storms or scorching sun.
with the roller coaster of life. I want to
Because in front of them is their family, their fishing village, and a chain of livelihoods stretching from the sea to the mainland. The ship turned its nose in another direction, continuing its journey to collect new schools of fish. Some accompanying ships used satellite positioning systems to stay in contact, informing each other which areas were dense with fish, which areas were empty. Modern fishing is no longer a blind adventure in the middle of the ocean. But a close combination of data, experience and fishermen's intuition. They called each other via walkie-talkies, asked questions, sent messages via GPS, signals of camaraderie in the vastness of the waves. There were people who, just by hearing the sound of the net being pulled, knew whether the school of fish was big or small, whether it was worth continuing to cast the net or not. That was the intuition that only those who had lived their whole lives at sea possessed. And so, schools of fish continued to be collected. Nets continued to be filled. Herring and flying fish. Some are famous for their ability to fly low over the water. Others are loved for their rich taste, have become priceless gifts from nature. They are not only commercial products, but also symbols of marine culture, ingredients in many traditional dishes, meals that have nourished generations of fishermen. When the sun began to rise higher above the horizon, the rays of light shone down on the sea like gold on each wave. On the deck, the smell of fresh fish, sea salt, and engine oil mixed together, creating a unique flavor that only those who have lived in the middle of the ocean can appreciate. The frozen containers full of flying fish and herring were sealed, clearly stating the batch, date and time of catch, and specific coordinates, all managed by modern software to ensure clear traceability. This is a must if you want to bring seafood products to the most demanding markets in the world. The ship does not stop for long. After completing the preservation process, the radar and GPS systems are restarted, searching for the next sign of the fish. Digital nautical charts are turned on the control cabin screen. Each dark blue area, indicating the appropriate depth, is scanned. Data sent back from satellites continuously updates water temperature, plankton concentration, and the concentration of migrating fish. Thanks to this technology, the journey to find fish is no longer based solely on experience, but also has modern scientific support, improving fishing efficiency, minimizing risks and saving fuel. Continuing to the deep waters of the north, where large schools of flying fish often migrate this month, the ship slowly enters a new area. Fishermen are all too familiar with the seasonal migration patterns of each fish species, timing, depth, direction of current like the back of their hands. When the waves begin to roll in and out, and a flock of seagulls swoop down from afar, that's when everyone understood the fish were right below the surface. The command to drop the nets was given again. The hundreds of meters-long nets were gently but firmly dropped, sweeping across the sea like giant arms. And then the magical moment came again. From the middle of the ocean, flying fish shot into the air like small planes, flapping their long wing-like fins, hovering over the water for a brief moment before falling back down and being collected in the net. It was a majestic scene, nature, people and the sea all in one. The whole ship seemed to rejoice. Each time the net was pulled up, tons of fish poured onto the deck, the silver glittering under the sun like a shower of stars. In the processing bay, the temperature was always kept low to best preserve the fish. Workers worked tirelessly, dividing into shifts to ensure that the process was not interrupted. Each fish was processed according to standards: washed, classified, frozen, packaged, labeled. A portion is processed into canned fish, dried fish, or freeze-dried fish depending on market demand. Herring is often made into fillets, vacuum-packed, and individually packaged. Flying fish, with firm meat and few bones, is very popular in the Japanese market. Especially used for sushi, salted grilled fish, or dried fish. Full containers promise to bring in large amounts of income for an entire coastal area. The ship continues its journey, docking at transit ports. There, a fleet of refrigerated trucks is always ready. Each box of fish is brought ashore. Immediately put into cold storage or a specialized container truck for transport to the processing plant or straight to the export port. The fishing ports are bustling day and night, not only as a trading point but also as the heart of an entire fishing community. Each box of fish brought back is not only a product, but also the effort, sweat, and love of the sea of hard-working but resilient people. When everything at the port is finished, the ship heads out to sea again, this time towards deeper waters where it is possible to catch large fish such as silver pomfret. Amberjack, or mackerel, but no matter what species, the process is the same, precise, rigorous, and full of passion. They understand that protecting the sustainability of marine resources is also protecting the future of their children, and of the traditional fishing profession for generations. And so the journey continues, in the vast ocean, in the endless waves lapping against the ship. In the lights on the deck shining down on the water like falling stars. The fishermen still work silently, with a strong love for the sea and boundless pride. Not only are they fishermen, they are also the preservers of marine culture, providing a source of livelihood for countless families, and are an indispensable part of the national economic value chain. If you want, I can continue further, perhaps moving on to a different fish catch. A land-based processing plant. Or an international export scene. Which direction would you like to take? Night fell very quickly on the open sea. The sky was covered with thin clouds. The moonlight sometimes hidden and sometimes visible behind the silver mist. However, on the deck, all activities did not stop. The high-pressure lighting system illuminated a large space on the water surface. As if the sun was still there. The sound of the engine, the sound of the radio, the sound of fish falling into the hold. The sound of laughter mixed with decisive instructions, all created a lively harmony in the heart of the ocean. This is no longer simply a job to make a living. For each fisherman, this is life, a belief and a great passion that they have been attached to since childhood. Some people followed their fathers onto the ship since they were 10 years old. Learning to observe the water, listen to the wind, look at the birds and guess where the fish are. Some people left the mainland to escape sadness. Then found love for the sea and stayed forever. The sea is the place to test the perseverance, courage and true character of a person. At this moment, in the control room, the captain was reviewing the next route. Based on the seasonal migration map and the biological signals under the sea picked up by the sonar system, he decided to steer the ship to the edge of a large ocean current where there was a possibility of a dense school of herring appearing at midnight. This was a crucial moment. Because if there was a delay, it would only take a few hours for the entire school to move dozens of nautical miles. leaving the fishing grounds. The whole ship seemed to be filled with urgency. The giant trawl net was checked one last time. Each cable was reinforced. The hydraulic winches were oiled. The sailors took turns resting. Those on duty went down to the hold to have a simple dinner: hot rice, dried fish, boiled vegetables, but full of energy to cope with the long stormy night. In the rest room, people breathed regularly. Occasionally a fitful sleep was awakened by the loudspeaker announcing the net was about to be released. They woke up, without complaining, without hesitation. Stepping out onto the deck was like returning home. The moment came. The sonar signal indicated the presence of a giant school of fish at the ideal depth. Without waiting another second, the captain shouted loudly, "Prepare to drop the net." The experienced hands began to operate smoothly. The trawl system began to lower by hydraulic mechanism, stretching hundreds of meters under the sea like a giant blanket enveloping the school of fish. The whole ship was silent for a few minutes, waiting anxiously, only the sound of the positioning device clicking like the heartbeat of the ship. Then suddenly, the water surface erupted with white foam. The school of fish was gradually gathered into the center of the net. With no way out, the command to pull the net was given. The hydraulic motor roared loudly, gradually lifting the huge mass of the entire school of fish above the water. The lights shone down on the silvery herrings, swimming shimmering in the net like a galaxy awakened. Tons of fish poured into the hold like a waterfall, fast, intense, powerful. Sweat poured down everyone's faces, but their eyes were bright. They knew that what they harvested today would feed countless families tomorrow. Down in the freezer, the automatic line worked tirelessly. The herring was washed with filtered seawater, then put into a sorting machine, divided by size. The vacuum packaging machine then pushed each tray of fish into the freezer, keeping it fresh for a few minutes after being caught. The flying fish were filtered separately, brought into the processing room to be filleted on the spot, with an automatic cutter adjusting to the shape of each fish. Each step was supervised by a supervisor, ensuring no mistakes. From a modern ship in the middle of the ocean to a cold storage, to a processing plant on land, and finally to luxury supermarkets, 5-star restaurants, it was a long journey that no one could have imagined. It all started from a moonlit night, from a heavy trawl in the middle of the ocean. But that journey never ended, because tomorrow, when the sun rises, the fleet will continue to sail out to sea, catching again, processing again, returning and leaving again. That cycle continues, persistently, just like the breath of the ocean, tolerant, vast and full of life. And the fishermen, they are still there, the warriors of the ocean, quietly contributing their efforts to an invisible but great value chain.